And we're set now for the second match of the New York State High School Wrestling Championships, the 98-pound class. Upcoming. The introductions now of the two wrestlers. From Section 8, Dennis Mejias. He's a junior out of Mepham High School in Belmore. And from Section 5, a sophomore from Canandaigua High School, Butch Hibbard. Hibbard is on the left and Mejias on the right. Butch Hibbard had a bye in the first round. Then he defeated Philip Arisman and then John Billy to reach the finals. Meanwhile, Mejias had to wrestle twice yesterday, beating Matt Brown, Al Sharlin, and Fishbein to reach the finals here tonight.
Hibbard in the purple's only a sophomore, 31-0 record this year, and he was fourth in New York State in 1982, so he's been here before. And sometimes, Dave, that's very important in these matches. As we saw in the first match, you can get a little awed by the surroundings here. You got to come out and wrestle right away in these final matches, and Hibbard's been here before. Mejias also fifth last year at 91 pounds, so he's also been here. So we've got two experienced wrestlers now at 98 pounds.
It's upstate against downstate. Mejias from Belmore on the island, and Canandaigua's Butch Hibbard.
Section 5 actually has this tournament pretty well wrapped up. They have 8 finalists, and Hibbard from Section 5 in the purple. But there's a large contingent here from Section 5. Hibbard trying to get some takedown points, nothing awarded yet. Now he gets it.
While we have this moment, let's go back to the 91-pound class and run down the other finishers. Third place to Sal Fava, fourth to Doug Youngs. Fifth place was taken by Obed Morales, and sixth place to Clint Duval. You're watching action now in the first period at 98 pounds with 50 seconds remaining.
And referee Tom McTaggart just awards 1 point. So we have a 2-1 match. Mejias just picked up an escape. Mejias in the green from Mepham High School. One of the strong areas, Dave, as you know, Long Island, divided up into 2 sections, Section 8 and Section 11. Mejias from Section 8 down by 1 point.
Hibbard dove down to get the legs of Mejias. What's his strategy here?
He's trying to twist him and put him to the mat, but it didn't work. Now Mejias has got Hibbard's leg, and he may get some points. Nothing awarded yet.
Mejias is the taller of the two wrestlers. Does that give him added leverage?
It's a good point, especially at this weight class, David. Now Mejias gets the points. It's a big factor. I think that when you get a man who's tall like that, he has a little bit better leverage, and he keeps his legs away a little bit easier. So Mejias now comes up on a 3-2 advantage.
And we've come to the end of the first period. As Mejias goes down on the mat, and Hibbard will be in the up position.
Usually the lighter weights are pretty fast moving. You get up in some of the higher weights and you see a little bit more stalling here. We'll see now he's trying to work a cradle. Hibbard trying to work a cradle, didn't work. Mejias very strong, only 11th grader. His overall record 48-7-1. Hibbard, of course, from Section 5's got a record of 62-5-1, 31-0 this year. A lot of undefeated people when they get up this high, David.
Section 8's Dennis Mejias.
Mejias not moving real well on the bottom, and he's just kind of being dominated in this particular period with the first 30 seconds or so gone. Now we're going to warn the green Mejias for stalling. He gets one warning, and if he calls it again, he could give up a point. But right now, Mejias looks like that warning stirred him to action. He's going to pick up an escape right there, and they head back to the middle of the mat, but now Mejias picks up a point, make it 4-2.
Mejias is in the lead at 4-2.
Mejias last year, 5th place, 91 pounds in the States, and Hibbard 4th in New York State at 82. So we say 2 experienced men.
Good quickness by Mejias.
Oh, he tried to snap him down, tried to drag the arm down, he lost it. Nice counter by Hibbard. Hibbard picks up 2 points, going to tie it up. 30 seconds now left in the second period. All tied up 4-4. Mejias trying to drag that leg trying to bring up Hibbard's weight, see if he can make a move, but they're going to go out of bounds, I think, before anything happens. Referee McTaggart right there on top of it.
Official lets them continue as they straddle the boundary.
Their supporting points were both in bounds, so he lets them wrestle, and the offensive wrestler, if he can bring the defensive wrestler in, even if his supporting points are out of bounds, they let him wrestle. They put a lot of emphasis on action here. This is the first stalling call or warning we've had. Of course, this is only the second match. So
the end of the second period, and we're all tied up at 4-4, so 2 minutes more of wrestling in this season for both Butch Hibbard on the right and Dennis Mejias. Third place in this class went to John Billy. Fourth place to Fishbein. Fifth was taken by Al Charlin. And a sixth to Doug Franklin. Last year's champion at 91 pounds, David Gleason, moved up to 98 this year and never made it past his first match, losing to Fishbein by an 8-7 count.
There's been a lot of flu here this year, David. It's been a lot in the public schools, and the wrestlers aren't immune from it, and they've had a couple of people who they feel in all the sections might have done a little bit better, but have a little problem with that. Right now, we're still tied up. Mejia's showing good strength. He's got the leg trying to ride. He's got that leg hook, but he's got to make a move to pin Hibbard, or he might find himself in a little bit of trouble.
Do we figure to see more pins at the heavier weights than the lighter weights?
You'll probably see more pins at the heavier weights, especially up at around 215 and 250, although that's not necessarily true. Usually when you get up to competition this high, you really have two good wrestlers and they don't give up anything stupid. Right now, Mejia's trying to pull that arm back through and use it as a lever to crank over. Hibbard doesn't work. He's got to go to work. Now, Hibbard's got to watch himself on the bottom because he hasn't been moving too well. He gets a warning right there.
We've gone a minute into the third period, and as of yet, no scoring. So we're tied at 4. In the event we end up tied at 4, what do we do?
They go to an overtime situation, David, and there are 9 special criteria, which we'll talk about if and when we get there, which decide the match. And there's been some changes this year. If we get to them, we'll talk about them.
How long is that overtime?
Well, the 3 1-minute periods, but if they're still tied at the end of that, then we go into the criteria. Otherwise, it's whoever scores the most points.
Right now, we've got half a minute to go.
He's got some leverage. Mejias has got leverage on Hibbard. But he's going to have a little trouble cranking him over. 20 seconds.
Does the man on top here play for one move?
He's going to try to worry that he can get that arm over and get some back points. He's got about 7 seconds. I think we're going to have our first overtime.
We're down to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that is it. We're tied at 4, no scoring in that third period.
All right, now we'll have a 1-minute rest period, David, and then they'll have 3 overtime periods, 3 extra periods of 1 minute apiece, and then, of course, whoever scores the most points will win. However, if they're tied at the end of that, we'll see what's going to happen when we come back from this commercial.
We'll return with more championship wrestling after this message. You're watching Cable Sports, a Syracuse Cable Systems production.
You can return to again and again. The Brandy House Restaurant in Fayetteville Mall is becoming the in spot for people to enjoy the finest in dining at prices that bring them back time after time. Where else can you enjoy a delicious prime rib special on Monday night for only $6.95? And every day, the Brandy House's salad bar is stacked with the freshest fruits and salad greenery Syracuse has to offer. The word is out. Discover Fayetteville's best-kept secret for yourself. And for your thirst, try our 3:30 to 6:30 happy hour, where the hors d'oeuvres are hot and all cocktails are 2 for 1.
Dennis Mejias quickly into the circle to begin this overtime period. During the intermission, this man, Butch Hibbard, was attended to by his coach and trainer. Mejias definitely looks to be the fresher of the two wrestlers, and bear in mind that Hibbard had to wrestle one less match than Mejias. Hibbard had a bye in the opening round, so Mejias, despite having to wrestle more, looks to be the fresher of the two.
That can be an advantage. It depends on the conditioning. Most of these fellas are in good condition. Right now, all right there, that's important. They got a warning for stalling. If they end up tied, that could be an important factor. Right now, they wrestled 3 1-minute periods, and we said the score at the end of the first period, or the first match, 4-4, has no bearing on this, and Mejias looks very fresh.
Still no points awarded.
No points. Now he gets 2 points for Hibbard.
Down to 24 seconds in the first overtime. So Hibbard, despite looking...
yeah, he looked a little slow, didn't he, Dave?
He did. He looked a little shaken. But he's picked up 2 here in the overtime.
Well, he's going to get back points right there. Yes, he is.
He gets 2 points. Again, we're tied at 2 in overtime. And there's the horn to end it. And 2 points awarded just at the end of the first overtime period.
Well, they certainly get their money's worth out of this match.
Hibbard grabbing the 2-0 lead, but surrendering 4 points in the final 30 seconds. And now Mejias again looking very game, almost cocky, decides to be in the down position.
Well, he pulled that move at just the right time because there wasn't much time left when he got his back points, David.
Those 2 points awarded at the very end of that overtime, reminiscent of the 2 points awarded in the Section 3 finals that had a very controversial ending and ended up in the courts of the state of New York. But it did not change the eventual outcome that saw Kevin Johnson move into this tournament, and Kevin Johnson will be one of the finalists coming up at a later weight.
Those back points are also important if they end up tied at the end of this overtime period. If they did, back points are very important in the 11 different criteria points. So that was a good thing for Mejias to do. And Mejias now, not much action now, just Hibbard holding him down, and Mejias trying to...
Under 10 seconds remaining. Mejias is in the green. He's leading at 4-2. Hibbard desperately trying to tie it up. And there's the whistle. It's all over.
Very close for Mejias. Almost got some points at the end. They got one more 1-minute period. 3 1-minute overtime periods. 3 1-minute periods. And Mejias threw a Peterson right at the end there, and he almost got some back points. And Hibbard, now they're going to start the injury clock, Dave, which gives 2 minutes from the time the referee said to start the clock, that Hibbard will have a chance to return. If he can't return at the end of 2 minutes, he would have to forfeit the match to Dennis Mejias, the 11th grader, Hibbard being a 10th grader.
Doesn't look like that will happen.
No, it's also a good chance to catch a breather, Dave. You know, you've got a lot of coaches figure you've got the 2 minutes coming to you. If you hurt your arm a little bit, why not take the chance to get it looked at and catch your breath a little bit, get some advice.
Hibbard was attended to at the end of regulation. And again, he's being looked at. In the meantime, Dennis Mejias out on the mat, jumping around. Here's Hibbard coming back, putting on the headgear, and he'll be in the down position for this 3rd overtime. Dennis Mejias from Belmore on Long Island. Mepham High School, Section 8 representative.
Mejias has just got to go out and be as aggressive as he was before. If he tries to sit back, that's what happens sometimes. They get a little bit cocky, a little overconfident, and they get beat. So Mejias not going to be shy about this, and he's got his back. He won't give up any points here, but he could pin himself. If he doesn't, he ends up on top of Hibbard.
35 seconds remaining in the 3rd overtime period.
Now he's being a little cautious, throws that leg, and he's going to work for the guillotine. It'll waste time and give him a chance to ride. He can even take a warning. But right now, Hibbard trying to counter the guillotine, 20 seconds and counting. Now it's just strength against strength, and Mejias seems to be the stronger of the two with 10 seconds left in this 98-pound match, and the people start applauding as it looks like Dennis Mejias is going to be the New York State champ.
There it is, it's all over, and there is the champion of New York State at 98 pounds, Dennis Mejias from Mepham High School on Long Island. Dennis Mejias in overtime, defeating Butch Hibbard for the 98-pound championship. Congratulations to Dennis Mejias, his coach, and his high school.
Well, he is only a junior, so we'll probably see him again. And of course, Hibbert, only a sophomore. A very fine job to get this far as a sophomore.
So we've completed the 91 and 98 pound weight classes. Now we move up now to 105.